I've come across a lot of people and talked to many people that have moved to and relocated to Los Angeles. Now, it's interesting for me because I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, a native here. So I always like to hear the perspective of others who have moved to LA and why they've done it. I mean, just my neighbors alone, I've got 5 neighbors that are adjacent to me, and they are all from different parts of the country. And it's fascinating why they moved here. And most commonly, they're here for the opportunity because there's so much in Los Angeles. Now, I know you've come to this video to see the 9 reasons of why you may not want to move to Los Angeles, but stick with me here because it all starts with why you're thinking about making the move. And it is opportunity, whether it's in the entertainment industry or the big tech industry like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Instagram. They're all here, and all the supporting companies that support these large industries. It's also the lifestyle. People want to move here because outdoor activities year round, 300 days a year of sun, outdoor activities, the food, the culture, everything that LA has to offer. But wait, this all comes at a cost. People that don't realize or don't do their research like you're doing on these videos, they don't really understand the negative aspects of Los Angeles. So all of this does come at a price. There is tons of traffic. The city is overcrowded. It is super expensive when it comes to housing. There is smog. We have a homeless problem. And in this video, I'm going to go over the top reasons why you may want to reconsider or things that may prevent you to move to Los Angeles. Number 1 on our list is the city is too big and overwhelming for many people that have moved here. It's one of their big issues. Everyone knows Los Angeles is big. People get a heads up. If you've got friends or family here before you move here, you've talked to them, they'll tell you it's big. But until you really experience how big a city geographically Los Angeles is, it's really almost unfathomable. We have 500 square miles for this city. There are 4 million people in the city itself, 10 million people in Los Angeles County. Those are huge numbers. Now we're talking, there are big cities across the country, but nowhere near these numbers. And for people that are not used to this large scale lifestyle, it can be very overwhelming, especially when you're trying to navigate the city and trying to figure out where things are. I myself, as a native, I still haven't explored all of Los Angeles, and I've been here over 40 years. So it is an incredibly big city, and sometimes it feels disconnected in ways, because if you're living on the west side or the coastal communities like Venice, Marina del Rey, Santa Monica Beach, Pacific Palisades, more likely than not, you're not really venturing out into the eastern portions of LA like Los Feliz, Echo Park, and even downtown Los Angeles, unless you're there going there for work. You're also not venturing out into the San Fernando Valley, which is its whole big suburban area of Los Angeles that feels really separated from the rest of the city. Especially when you compare that to the downtown area. So the scale and size can be quite a drawback for people moving here. And that is one of the big things that when people have moved here, I ask them how do they feel about the city, how they feel about their move, and they all say the same thing. They did not realize how big it was and how much time it took, how long it took to get to places, and that they haven't explored the whole city, and sometimes they don't feel like where they live is really part of other parts of Los Angeles. So there can be a little bit of a disconnect, but because the city is so big, that's where all of the opportunities come from, and that is why people move here. As a reminder, I'm Dave Fine with the Real Estate Dads at eXp Realty, a local real estate agent here in Los Angeles. My team and I love helping people move to and relocate, so make sure you hit us up at the contact information below for these videos. If you want to see more, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified for new videos, and hit that like button. All right, number 2 on this list of why you may want to reconsider moving to Los Angeles is the traffic nightmare and commuting nightmare that we have here in LA. You've heard stories, I'm sure. Maybe you've checked out my other videos where I talk about this.
Always traffic, always traffic.
It is real, and it is a way of life. Now, I know people don't necessarily consider maybe making a move over traffic, but I'm telling you, firsthand experience, I sit in traffic maybe for an hour just to go 14 miles. It is crazy here. There are just so many people, and because the city is so large, it takes a long time to get from one end to the other. So if you have family and friends in other places or work, it could take, well, figuratively forever, but what feels like forever. And we have this enormous freeway system that, when you look at a map, you'll see how many freeways we have connecting this city. We've got the 405 freeway that connects the San Fernando Valley and West LA. We've got the 10 freeway that runs from Santa Monica, the beach, into downtown Los Angeles. The 110, the 5, the 60, the 101, all connecting into the downtown Los Angeles. We've got the 134 freeway, the 710, And I know I'm missing a few right now, but this map shows you just how crazy our freeway system is. And I'm telling you, it is heavily, heavily trafficked. And you need these freeways to get to many parts of Los Angeles. Sure, you could take side streets, and in many ways we do. We're using the Waze app to escape traffic, but everyone else is, so you're just stuck in it. But really, it is quite a bit of a nightmare. We really don't have a rush hour here. We have what I call free hour between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Right in the middle of the day. This is your best bet to get anywhere with the least amount of traffic, because anytime before that or after that, you're going to be sitting in heavy traffic. And if there's an accident on the freeway or any type of construction, forget it. I mean, it's just going to add another 45 minutes to an hour. And I mentioned, it could take up to an hour to go 15 miles during the week. Now, the weekends can be a little bit lighter unless there's some big event or it's gorgeous day and people are off to the beach. That could take a while, but it takes a long time to get places. And why this is important, why it plays such a factor in your life, because it does affect you mentally and emotionally, and it could be a negative effect, especially after sitting in traffic. Like for me, I need a moment of zen when I get to my destination, whether I'm going to a job, going to work, or coming home before I see my family, and to take a deep breath, because I just sat in traffic and it can be aggravating. And so people are stressed out in the car. People are honking their horns all the time. People are weaving in and out of traffic. And it just adds this level of anxiety and stress when living in Los Angeles. For me personally, I have learned to grow and grow with it. I'm used to it. So I'll put on a podcast. I'll put on some music. I'll catch up with friends, family, or colleagues or clients in the car. Stuff to distract me, so I'm preoccupied in doing things productive, so I just don't get sitting there angry at the cars in front of me or angry at how many people are on the same road and same destination that I am. But again, it can have a big effect on you, and because when you take your total year, you'll spend days on the freeway and days in traffic. This leads us to our third topic, and that's public transportation. Los Angeles is notoriously known for having poor public transportation, although I will say in the last 5-10 years it has gotten better. We have gotten some light rail lines like the Expo line that will connect Santa Monica Beach all the way to downtown, passing through Culver City. And we also have the Orange line that stretches through all of the San Fernando Valley, taking you into downtown as well. And we've got a bunch of other buses that will take you throughout, and light rail lines that will take you throughout the city. But the problem is, because we're such a sprawled city, you can take these mass transportation systems. However, after you get off your stop, you probably still have a number of miles to go. So you either have to do ride share, you got to jump on a bird scooter or one of those scooters that take you around town, you ride a bike, walk, run, whatever it is, you still got to get to your final destination. The issue with these transit systems is they don't really take you to probably where you need to go, because again, there's no real big center. LA is just so big and has so many different city centers and so many different points of destinations that these transportation systems don't hit all of these places. So it's a point of contention, because when you come here, you're going to need a car most likely. And again, I just talked about how bad traffic is, so you've got to sit in that. The great thing about the transit system is that you don't necessarily have to drive in it, so you can just kind of sit back and relax. But again, it just doesn't take you where you need to go. And that's one of the biggest gripes I hear from people that have moved from other cities, especially bigger cities like New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, places like that, San Francisco, where they have better transportation systems. But those cities are also not nearly as sprawled out. So it's just a different way, a different lifestyle. When you come here, you are most likely going to need a car to get around. Number 4 on the list, and this is a big one, are home prices. Now, if you're thinking about making the move, and I'd be curious, comment below, let me know why you're thinking about making the move to Los Angeles. But if you have, you've most likely done some research, some homework about home prices and what it's going to cost to purchase a home here. But even then, it's still sticker shock. Even when you're researching it online, talking to a real estate agent, it is a big sticker shock. We are super expensive here. We do have a large array of homes here and price points, because again, the city is so massive. It really depends on where you're going to live. Anywhere along those coastal communities is going to be really expensive. In the hillside communities, expensive. If you're in the suburbs of San Fernando, not quite as bad. And I'm going to get into some examples of pricing here, but just keep in mind that each neighborhood each neighborhood, each city within the city of Los Angeles brings its own price point. So if you do want more details, make sure you reach out to my team and I have the contact information below. So let's just jump into what the median home sales price in Los Angeles for a single family home. It is $1 million. Yep, you heard me. $1 million is the median price in Los Angeles at the end here of 2023. It has been going up steadily for a number of years, but we've hit that $1 million mark. And that's just crazy. I mean, again, from being Los Angeles, I'm used to it. I've seen it. Being in the industry, I see it, but I still feel like it's crazy. And from people that have moved here, it's insane. A lot of people moving here are downsizing from larger homes and moving into smaller homes just to be in Los Angeles for that opportunity. So let's break down some areas. Oh, and before I do that, I'll mention condos. The median price for a condo in Los Angeles is $565,000. Again, I know many parts of the country, $565,000 buys you a 2,500 square foot home or bigger with land. Nope, in Los Angeles, you get a condo for that amount. Now, I'm only going to break down 2 different communities here. For more details, again, reach out or check out some of my other videos of cost of living in Los Angeles or specific neighborhoods that you're looking in. So let's talk about the coastal communities. And we are talking, again, Marina del Rey, Venice, Santa Monica, Pacific Palisades. The median price for these areas is $3,400,000, and that's for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, 2,300 square feet. In these same coastal communities, for a condo, the median price is going to be $1,200,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot condo in those coastal communities. Now let's talk about a big suburban area away from the beach in the San Fernando Valley. Median price for a single family home is going to be $1 million, and you're talking about a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,700 square foot home. And for a condo in the San Fernando Valley, $570,000 median price for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot condo. So you can see this is a big hardship when people are thinking about moving to Los Angeles and why people reconsider moving here. It is super expensive to buy a home, and home ownership is a big part of the American dream. So when people are thinking of moving to Los Angeles, this could put on the brakes of and preventing people from moving here just because of how expensive it is. You really need dual income and high-end, high-paying jobs to be able to buy a home here for the most part. So again, that is a big drawback and why a lot of people may not consider moving to Los Angeles. All right, 5th on the list is a growing problem. We have a big homeless population here in Los Angeles that have just gotten worse over the last couple of years. Now, I just got done telling you how expensive the cost of housing is here, but even with that, you have this juxtaposition, which you've got these multi-million-dollar homes, and literally right down the street, you're going to have a homeless encampment. Now, I'm not getting into the politics about homeless issues. I don't have the solutions. Neither do our elected officials, because it's clearly getting worse. And there's a lot of debate on how to handle the situation here. A lot of people do blame the cost of housing, but the only time I'll give my opinion on this is I really don't believe that to be the case, because there are a lot of issues that causes homelessness, and it all starts before any type of affordability comes into play when it comes to housing. So when you're driving down the streets, some of the bigger streets, especially under freeway underpasses, you will find these large homeless encampments. It could be 20, 30, 40 tents deep. And they're there. You're not going to want to walk by these tents. Now, I'm not saying all homeless people are dangerous, but the bottom line is it is a dirty area. You will see drug paraphernalia, and sometimes it can be dangerous because there is a mental illness issue that comes along with homelessness. And so ultimately, you just want to avoid crossing those encampments. You will see it in parks sometimes, although the city has finally cleaned up a lot of the parks and made it so homeless people can't set up their tents there, because with parks, you've got lots of kids roaming around, playing on the playgrounds, playing on the soccer fields and the baseball fields. So they have a lot of times prevented that, but you will still see homeless encampments along the parks. And again, multi-million-dollar, super expensive homes, and in the same areas, you are going to find these issues. Now, it really depends on which part of Los Angeles that you are in. Some places are a lot worse. The downtown area is certainly a lot worse. But even in Venice, Santa Monica, you're going to see a big homeless population there. So just be prepared for that. It may be a giant put off if you're not used to that. I know there's homeless issues anywhere across the country, and it is certainly a problem that needs to be addressed. But when you're coming to Los Angeles, it is something that may be a little bit of a shock of how big the issue is. Now, again, I'm not saying that you're going to you need to like watch your step everywhere you go, or you're going to hit it on your daily life. It's not necessarily like that, but it's certainly prevalent. Another factor that people consider when moving to Los Angeles is the crime element. I know a lot of people I've talked to recently in helping people move and relocate here. For one of the first questions they ask is the crime really as bad as we hear it on the news? And again, I will say it depends. I know that's a kind of a cop-out answer, but it really depends on where you're living and people's personal experiences. For me personally, I haven't experienced really any crime myself. However, my parents owned a business in the Westwood area near UCLA, and that business was broken into a few times. I know there's car theft. There's a lot of store theft, people going into convenience stores. I will say that places like Target have locked up certain items of their electronics for sure, but now they're locking up things like toothpaste, body wash. That tells me that that coincides with the homeless problem. If you have people stealing those types of necessities, that's again where we have a large problem, and that needs to be resolved soon, because people should not be in a position where they need to feel like they have to steal these items. It's sad, but it is happening, so you should be aware. Again, not all over the place. If you want more information about crime statistics for Los Angeles, you can go to lapdonline.org. You can put in address of places and put in zip codes, and it'll tell you the crime stats. Also, you can go to niche.com, another good place. That's where you're going to hear from people that live in the communities, and they'll describe what they experience as far as lifestyle and crime. Many other great information on niche.com as well. But just be prepared. We do, because we're such a big car culture here, people are stealing catalytic converters attached to the muffler. So people get that stolen, which is a pain, because you turn it on, all of a sudden sounds like you've got this big old race car. When you turn on your car, you realize, oh, someone just stole that. So we do see the crime increasing over the last couple of years. But again, I personally don't experience it or haven't really experienced it. I know some friends and family that have. However, it's not one of those things where you go here and there's just crime all over the place and you have to feel completely unsafe. I think a lot of it is overblown, but just know that there is an element in Los Angeles that it's happening. All right, next on this list is lack of cohesion. And this is a reason why you may want to reconsider moving to Los Angeles. It kind of goes back up to some of my first points of being such a big city and harder to get places. But when you're living in Los Angeles, you almost feel like there's segments of Los Angeles. I mentioned the San Fernando Valley, which is a huge suburb of LA. When you live in the San Fernando Valley, many times you're not venturing into West Los Angeles or the South Bay or East Los Angeles or downtown. Same when you live on the west side in the coastal communities, the beach communities. You're pretty much making your home there. You're not really venturing out into downtown and other parts of LA unless it is for work. Now, that is a big reason why people commute and travel all over the place. But if you're not doing that, people stay within their communities for the most part. Now, there is a lot of entertainment, a lot of things to do in Los Angeles that will certainly draw people out of their neighborhoods that they live in. Don't get me wrong. We've got so many great cultural experiences with different enclaves and so many really cool museums that people will venture there. Great hiking trails. People that live on the east side will go to the west, the coastal areas, to go to get that beach vibes, beach lifestyle in. But when you have such a large city and it takes so long to get places because of how much traffic there is, a lot of times if you have family or friends that live on one end of the city, then you're not necessarily seeing them, or you may make plans and then you realize there's an accident. It's going to take you 2 hours just to go see your friend or family. You may just postpone that or reschedule it, or you may want to meet somewhere in the middle. But it does kind of create this separation where certain parts of the city don't necessarily interact with other parts. And it's not because of any cultural thing or ethnic thing or race thing or religious thing, because LA is a giant melting pot. It's one of the really cool draws to being in Los Angeles. You get to experience so many different cultures. What it really becomes is a time thing and wanting to not be stuck in traffic and be miserable thing. So that's what kind of keeps people a little bit more separated when living in Los Angeles. So just be prepared when you're picking out, scouting out your neighborhoods. Ideally, you can find places that you live, work, and play all in the same areas, and you can check out some of my other videos that go into more detail about those types of areas, or you can always reach out to our team and we can help you with that. But it's one of these cities where yes, we all rally around our sports teams, but outside of that, each neighborhood and region of Los Angeles kind of have their own little city within a city. Number 7 on the list is seasons, or I should say lack of seasons. Now, people may laugh at this, but again, I've talked to a lot of people who have moved here from other parts of the country, and they will say they absolutely love the sunny days, and that is one of the biggest aspects and draws for living in Los Angeles, some of the best weather in the country. However, they will say they do miss the seasons. They miss the beautiful fall colors and the changing of leaves. Now, we have some neighborhoods and sections that have it, but no, not like it's not one giant region or a part of the city that you're going to see the fall colors changing. And people also feel like the calendar, there's time just doesn't stop, but you really don't know what time of the year it is for the most part when living here. You really don't care, frankly, because you're just doing your thing. You're outdoors all the time. But sometimes people like that seasonality where they know it's winter into spring into fall. Yeah, of course, I forgot summer, but they like to kind of notate where they are during the year, and it kind of separates the year out, especially when it comes to holidays. Where in LA, it doesn't even come to thought. I mean, yeah, during the winter, we do get a little bit more rain, but again, it's really nothing. A little bit more cloudy days during May and June sometimes. But outside of that, you really can't tell what the seasons are. So people really do miss that. I'm curious, comment below, see if you think that's something that you would miss, or you're like, no way, give me the sun. Because frankly, when you are living in other parts of the country, and I've experienced this myself, you are kind of holed up in your home sometimes, or taking refuge because it is just raining constantly and you can't be outside. You're shoveling snow, you're chipping ice off your windshield. If you've got a family like I do, and you're trying to get the kids ready, you've got to get them all layered up, get their rain boots on, their raincoats on. Then when you come home, you're doing the same thing. It adds all this time. And so you don't have to deal with that, and that is why a lot of people will forego those seasons. But I'm telling you, a lot of people do miss that, kind of like a nostalgia feel, or at least, wanting that separation throughout the year of the different seasons. Number 8 on the list is air quality. Now, this is something that may keep you from coming to Los Angeles after doing further thought. I know I've actually had a few people thinking about relocating here, and they decided not to. Because they had asthma issues, and they were pretty bad asthma issues, and they just looked at the air quality charts, and they decided that it wasn't worth it for them because they couldn't quite afford living on the coastal areas. Because if you live along the coast, you don't necessarily have to worry about air quality, because that coastal breeze, which is pretty constant, pushes all the air into places like the San Fernando Valley or downtown LA. And San Fernando Valley is basically a bowl surrounded by hills and mountains, so the air gets pushed there and stuck, and it just sticks there. So if you live along the coast, nothing to worry about. Breezy days, pushes all the smog out that's present there, no issues. But for some particular people who can't quite afford they're looking at eastern and inland parts of the city where they do have these smog issues, and they are greatly affected by that. And they like being outdoors. And so for them, being outdoors, running, hiking, all of that would be impacted by the smog. You will see this when you're traveling through the city. There are some hills and mountains along the coast that have some spectacular views of the clear blue skies over the ocean. And then when you turn the other way and look east, you'll see this yellow haze over downtown Los Angeles. And then when you're traveling to the San Fernando Valley along the 405 freeway, you're going through the Sepulveda Pass, and you're dropping down, and you just see this layer of haze sitting over it. Now, when you're at your house or on the ground, you're not really seeing it too much. It's when you are coming from a place of cleaner air and driving into a place of more smoggy air, that's when you see that thick layer, and you're like, wow, I'm actually breathing that in. We also have a lot more fires these days, wildfires, and because it's been more dry lately, and that also creates a level of air pollution too that'll just sit there in many parts of Los Angeles, like the San Fernando Valley and downtown Los Angeles. Again, coastal community, not quite as affected by it. Now, I've experienced both. I've lived in the west side, didn't really have to worry about it. My wife has asthma, and when we moved to the San Fernando Valley, now she's from the valley, so she kind of knew what to expect, but there was a big difference. We lived in West LA for a number of years, and she can even tell the difference between living there versus living in the valley. So she had to use her inhaler a little bit more often. Thankfully, her asthma is not super bad, so she doesn't have to use the inhaler all that much, but did notice a difference. All right, let's talk about schools. That's number 9 on our list here. Schools in Los Angeles. Well, This really is dependent on the neighborhood you choose to live in. And again, for more information, reach out to us. We can help you with that. Also, go to greatschools.org. It's a great place to get information about test scores and where the homeschools are for the house that you're going to be living in. You just type in the address and it gives you what schools is associated with that home. Go to niche.com as well. I mentioned that before. Great place, resource to also find out more information about schools and community. So, LA Unified, I can go on and on about this, but I'm going to keep it a little bit brief because it's almost a whole video in itself. My mom was a teacher at LA Unified. I'm a product of LA Unified, and it is enormous. It is way too big. It should be broken up. There's no reason a school district should be this big other than power and money, and that's why they stay intact the way they do. But it really does a disservice to the schools in Los Angeles. With a caveat, I will say again, it depends on the neighborhoods. If you live in a neighborhood that has a large involvement from the parents and the community, those schools tend to have a little bit more extra money, and they tend to be a little bit more attractive for kids. There's more opportunities. There's more special programs that are offered at these schools. And frankly, it draws a certain level of teacher to be at these schools. So what happens is you have LA becomes this have and have not system with schools. If you live in an area that doesn't pump a lot of money in from the community or the parents, then those schools tend to lack resources, unfortunately. And because LA Unified is so big, it just generally lacks resources to sustain what really needs to be available for kids. My mom saw it from the inside, saw how destructive the school board was and the system was. And it can really pit schools and teachers against each other, unfortunately. And for me personally, I was fortunate enough to go to many good schools because I lived in different various neighborhoods. But I will say the entry level, like elementary schools, get that good start, good foundation. A lot of people look for homes for that. When it comes to high schools, it is one of the hardest things to find. And a lot of people will travel very far to send their kids to different high schools. We have magnet programs, gifted and talented programs throughout the city, which are really fantastic in all areas of study, from language to science to social studies, you name it, and you can find it. Robotics, technology. The issue is getting into these magnet programs. Not only is it a standard of certain level of academics, but it's also a lottery system. Like you have to start almost basically planning before your kids hit school age. You have to enter into these programs or apply for these programs, and hopefully you can get in quickly. But most of the time what happens is you get denied, which then gives you points. So the next time you apply, you come in with these points. And if you get denied, you get more points. And the more points you have, the more chances you are of getting into one of these programs. So it's kind of this sick, twisted system where you've got to start before your kids are even school age just to play the game. And again, if you want more details, I can set you up with people that can help you navigate that whole thing if you've got a family. But these school systems also provide, being in a good school district, a good school area, also adds value to your home. So there is that associated with it. Now, Los Angeles does have a lot of opportunities when it comes to private schools and private education. And frankly, there's just a lot of money here in Los Angeles. So there are some great opportunities for private schools where it's arguably you get a better education. I don't know. I didn't really attend private schools, so I couldn't tell you. And I do have friends and family that have, and they swear by it, but it comes at a hefty price. $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. So you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars from elementary through high school, and that's before you even pay the college tuition. So, everyone's got their own thing, but there is many, many opportunities as far as private school goes in LA. There you have it, 9 reasons why you may want to reconsider moving to Los Angeles. Again, this is from experience of talking to people of what they're concerned about before moving here and after they move here. A lot of our clients have expressed these concerns, and I've seen it personally. So if you are thinking about making the move to Los Angeles or surrounding areas, make sure you reach out to my team with the contact information below. Again, if you like what you see here, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and ring the bell. Comment below too. We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts of why you're moving to Los Angeles.